They say not to tip it on its side, but on the back. And I've laid down some paper. There's water sometimes in these because they do a wet run, make sure it functions at the factory. But I'm just putting down paper to protect the surface of the floor. And channel locks will spin these. Or a 5/16 inch socket, which of course I don't have that laying around. But channel locks will do it the slow way. All right, so the back two legs, they want you to screw all the way back in, touching the frame. Then these front two legs, they want you to put those in about a 1/2 inch away from the frame. So we'll start them by hand and then we'll measure. We'll level this at a later step. I think it's step 12 in our directions. 1/2 inch on either side. And then those bottom ones are all the way tucked in. Here's our waterline kit. This is the elbow that we're going to put on. I'm just going to cut it off here so I can get to it. Everything with these appliances, you have to get all these extra parts that, of course, they don't supply so they can maximize profits. But that means it's just total hassle to make sure you have all the parts you need. It's a little bit ridiculous. That's just the way it is these days. So they want this elbow to face the back of the washer, which would be that way. And so we're going to put it, and they said make sure you have your washer is in there before you put this on, or else it'll leak. And then this is supposed to just be tight but not too tight, because this is plastic and this is metal. That's plastic, so of course it'll strip. So I want to just hand tighten this. And we can always check that from the front here and tighten it if need be afterwards, but I think that should be good. All right, so I'm going to do this backwards of the directions because I like being able to access this easily. So this is 3/8 inch, and it has the braided line. It has the rubber washer in there, so we don't need to use pipe tape on it or pipe sealant. So we're just going to go ahead and put this on. One precaution I'm going to have to take is that I don't set these rails on top of this line and kink it. That's why they have you do it the opposite way, where you hook it under here first. This is another tight but not too tight deal. I'm going to lean this forward. This rail will go on this side. This rail will go on this side, so that won't get kinked. And then I'll feed it backwards through the cabinets. All right, so I'm winding it this way so it's already pointing towards the back. And we'll stand this back up. Okay. All right, we drilled all our holes. That's the one inside the cabinet. Opposite that corner. There's that corner. And then there's a gap here between these two cabinets. This is a filler strip. So we had to drill from this side to get that hole. So now we have all our passages to take us from all the connections here to this cavity right here where the dishwasher will be. Before you start feeding, put tape on this so no sawdust or debris or any dirt gets in that inside your water line. Just to keep it clean. And then we start feeding it through the hole. As we move the dishwasher this way, I'm going to make sure that this electrical line and water line stays in between these two rails. And I can reach under here and grab it still. So I can slide this back and forth. All right, so now I'm going to pop this off. Now this stays. We have to make sure we don't unhook this. It's taped together to show you that this doesn't come apart. This stays up here. We're just using this bottom section right here. And I'm going to put, again, tape on this, keep debris out of that line. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and take this drain hose and loop it back as I push this in bit by bit. I may have to add the extension on here first. All right, so I got the drain hose connected to its extension and the water line both coming through that hole back there. And if you look under here, you can see the electric is running straight back to the back where it comes in. And that's the water line right there, and it's going straight back. It's not kinked, just kind of hanging there. And we've got this pushed in almost all the way. So we're getting there. So now we have to make the electrical connection right there. Hook up the drain line and water line inside here. All right, so do yourself a favor before you make all your connections, check your level. And so what I've got is ours said to start the feet all the way up to the top of this, to the bottom of this rail. But it turns out our floor, this is a 100-year-old house, and the floor goes back down that way. So I'm checking level. I'm checking level right here, and that's pretty close. So I can always come down a little bit here with these feet. But that's with the door open, you want to be able to check level, and that's pretty darn close. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. But you want to do this, slide it in, check level before you start making any connections. We have these brackets now, and these brackets fall into a spot right like so. So they're made to not go in and out very easily. There's this little hole right here that lines up with these, and so you can barely get that through, and then we'll bend that down so it stays in. And then I'm going to bend this up like this a little more so I can get a screw through this hole. And so that's why I've got these pliers here. And so what I'm going to do is put my vice grips down on these, and the channel locks will just kind of put a little bend in it like that. It is certainly very pliable metal, but there we go. All right. So bend that back end down so it stays in its spot. Okay. And now it has that little bit of a bend in it. And then hopefully I can get a screw. I'll slide it in and see how that works. Now, these are solid surface countertops, but there's a plate underneath here that the countertop people put in. So we can treat this as if it's a wood countertop or laminate countertop that you can screw into. All right, so I pushed the dishwasher back a little bit, enough so that that bracket there aligns with that hole right there, and I'll use that screw. Where is it? Right there. Use that screw to go into that, through the bracket into that hole. And that'll secure the dishwasher. We'll do one on each side. Right, before you do the plumbing work, make sure you turn the water off, and then turn the faucet on. Make sure it relieves the pressure. I've already had this on and it's drained a fair amount of water. But when you first turn the faucet on, it really starts rushing out, and then it just turns to a drip. And so I'm just relieving the pressure under the water lines, because next thing I'm going to do is cut the water lines and put a T in. We've got a PEX supply line coming into this valve. This valve goes to the hot water of the faucet. The dishwasher is typically connected to the hot line. Makes it a little more efficient. This is what we're putting in. We're putting in this T. It's PEX to PEX because it's going to go right in between there. And then this end right here is a 3/8 inch, and that's the connection for the dishwasher. So we're just going to go ahead and add that in. So first thing we want to do is cut the water line. Again, remember, make sure you've already turned off the water everywhere else and open up the faucet just to make sure that you relieve the pressure in the line. And there's some water coming out. Always have a towel around just to catch some of that. Cut through the pecs. One pretty clean, straight cut. There we go. So again, this is going up to the faucet. This is the supply line coming in from the basement where we have our water lines. We want to add this guy. So here I have my crimpers, and then on either side of the pecs are going to be these sleeves right there, these copper rings, and we'll put those on. One on the bottom pecs here, like so. Valve in, and then these, you want to get them pretty close, about 1/8 of an inch from the top. And just put the jaw on there and let it close, and you cinch it down. Open it back up, and it's as easy as that. Now we just rinse and repeat with this one. Okay, so we put our copper ring on. Whoops. Okay. Good and solid. And we're done. So now what we've done is added our new water connection in an existing line. All right, so, and there's a gasket inside this, so we don't need pipe tape, anything like that. So now all we have to do is screw this on. And because there's that rubber gasket inside this, we want to make sure we don't like crank on it as hard as we can. Just barely tight, but not as tight as you can turn it with your own strength. So that's not even, it doesn't feel very tight, but we'll turn the water on and we'll see if we got any drips, then we'll go ahead and tighten those down, but we should be fine.
Hope this video helps. Thanks a lot for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.